No one expected her to last even a week. She was small, quiet, and carried herself with the kind of softness that didn't belong in the ruthless grind of boot camp. The others joked behind her back, some right to her face, saying she wouldn't make it past the first round of drills. She didn't fight back with words. She just lowered her gaze, swallowed the sting, and kept moving forward. But none of them knew the truth written on her skin, truth that would bring the entire camp to silence. And you're about to see why. The days were brutal. Early mornings, endless push-ups, long runs with sand grinding into boots that already felt like lead. Sweat-burned eyes and blisters split open raw. Every grunt, every shout from the drill sergeants, was meant to break the weak. She was pushed harder than most, almost as if the others wanted to see her fail, to laugh when she packed her bags and quit. But she never quit. Every stumble was followed by a rise. Every insult was met with a silent determination. And each time they mocked her, she carried the weight with an unshakable calm, like someone who had already survived worse than boot camp could ever throw. Wouldn't you wonder what kind of past gives a person that kind of fire? One evening, after a long day of drills under the punishing sun, the squad returned to the barracks. The laughter was crueler than usual, and someone pulled at her shirt, joking about how fragile she looked. That's when it happened. The fabric slipped low on her back, revealing the top edge of an intricate tattoo. The room froze, curiosity piercing through the laughter. She stood still, shoulders tense, knowing eyes were on her. For the first time she seemed cornered, but instead of covering up, she straightened. The shirt slid further and the full design came into view. The barracks fell silent. Doesn't it make you wonder what they saw inked into her skin that made every cruel word vanish in a heartbeat? The tattoo wasn't just art. It was a sprawling design of wings, sharp and dark, surrounding a single emblem at the center. That emblem wasn't random, it was military. Not just any symbol, but the insignia of a fallen Special Forces unit, one the commander himself had served in years ago. His voice broke through the silence, low and shaken, asking her where she got it. She turned to face him, her eyes steady, her voice soft but unyielding as she said, "It was my brother's. He didn't come home." Every breath in the room seemed to vanish with those words. The commander's face paled, his memories colliding with the truth standing in front of him. Can you imagine the weight of realizing the girl mocked as weak carried the legacy of a fallen hero? The atmosphere shifted. The jokes, the whispers, all burned away in shame. She wasn't just another recruit, she was blood of the Brotherhood. The commander's eyes glistened as he looked at the tattoo again, and for the first time he stood not as her superior, but as a soldier mourning a comrade. He nodded slowly, his voice rough when he said, "Your brother saved my life. You have nothing to prove here." The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was heavy, reverent, filled with the unspoken respect of every person in that room. Doesn't that make you feel the sudden flip of a story, where weakness becomes undeniable strength? From that day forward, no one mocked her again. She wasn't carried and she wasn't pitted. She was respected, though she never demanded it. She still woke before dawn, still carried her pack until her shoulders ached, still pushed through every drill until her lungs burned. But now the others didn't laugh, they followed. She had become the heartbeat of the unit, not through force or bravado, but through quiet resilience and a story inked into her skin. Isn't it powerful how one hidden truth can change everything? On the final day of boot camp, as the sun dipped low and the recruits stood in formation, the commander addressed them all. He spoke of sacrifice, of bonds that went deeper than blood, of carrying forward the names of those who could no longer march beside them. Then he called her forward. She stepped out, her boots steady on the ground, her chin high. The commander didn't speak long. He simply saluted her, not as a recruit, but as the sister of a fallen brother in arms. The entire squad followed, one by one, saluting her in silence. Can you feel the pride of that moment, the redemption of every insult turned into honor? As she stood there, the sun catching the edge of her tattoo beneath her uniform, she felt her brother beside her. Not in the shadows of grief anymore, but in the light of legacy. She had carried him into that camp, and now she would carry him forward into every step of her journey. Her silence had spoken louder than any words ever could. And in that silence, everyone finally heard her. Sometimes, the ones mocked the most are the ones who carry the heaviest stories. Sometimes, strength doesn't shout. It endures, it waits, and when the moment comes, it reveals itself like fire through the dark. And if you were standing there, watching her turn every cruel laugh into a memory of respect, you'd never forget it. Because legacies don't die. They live on, in ink, in blood, and in hearts that refuse to quit.